Long ago, in the quiet village of Umadim, there lived a young woman named Amara. She was admired not only for her beauty but for her kindness. Her skin was the color of new palm oil, her eyes sparkled like the river under the sun, and her smile was as gentle as the morning breeze. Yet it was not her beauty that people spoke of the most, but her heart. She was the kind of woman who fetched water not just for herself but for the old and weak, who shared food with hungry children even when her own portion was small, and who greeted every elder with deep respect. People often said Amara's presence was like the first light of dawn, soft, warm, and bright enough to chase away sorrow. In that same village lived Obina, a young man whose name carried weight in Umadim. He was a farmer whose diligence brought abundance. His yam barns were always full, his cassava grew thick, and the palm trees on his farm gave wine so sweet that even strangers from neighboring villages asked for it. He rose before dawn and worked until dusk, yet he never carried pride on his shoulders. He was humble, and his laughter was loud and genuine, filling the air like music. People admired him not only for his hard work but for his honesty. When Obina and Amara met, it was as though the earth itself rejoiced. Their connection was immediate, their bond unshakable. Soon, they became the couple everyone admired. They fetched water together in the mornings, their laughter ringing out along the stream path. They worked side by side in the evenings, Amara sometimes bringing food to Obina in the farm while he wiped sweat from his brow and smiled at her. During festivals, they danced as though the drums beat only for them. The villagers whispered that their love was blessed by the gods, and many mothers pointed to them as an example to their daughters. But where happiness dwells, envy never sleeps. Obina had a childhood friend named Chika. To all appearances, Chika was cheerful, always joking, always smiling. He called Obina his brother, laughed at his successes, and clapped him on the back when people praised him. But behind the laughter was a restless spirit. Chika was a man who had tried and failed too many times. His yam barns were never full, his debts weighed him down, and he had no woman to call his own. Each time Obina rose higher in the eyes of the village, Chika's envy deepened. He had admired Amara from the day she blossomed into womanhood, but she had never looked his way. And when she chose Obina, something in Chika's heart broke. Sitting outside his hot one moonlit night, he clenched his fist and whispered bitterly into the darkness. Why must Obina always have the best? Why must the village praise him while Chika remained in the shadows? If Obina had wealth, let him keep it. But why must he also have Amara? That night, Chika vowed that he would take from Obina the one thing he loved most. From that moment, his heart grew darker. He knew he could not fight Obina with fist or strength, for Obina would overpower him. But words could cut deeper than a blade. And so Chika sharpened his tongue like a spear and began to weave a web of deceit. One evening, as Amara fetched water at the stream, Chika walked beside her. His face carried sorrow, and his voice was gentle. Amara, forgive me if my words trouble you, he began. But people are talking. They say Obina has been seen with another woman near the market. I thought you should know. Amara stopped in her tracks, her heart skipping. That cannot be true, she said quickly, her voice sharp. Obina loves me. Chika sighed deeply, shaking his head. I pray it is not true. But whispers do not rise from nothing. He left her with those words, knowing he had planted a seed. Days later, he approached Obina. Brother, he said with a heavy voice, I fear to speak, but I must. The whispers in the village are troubling. They say Amara spends time with another man, laughing when you are not around. I do not want you to be shamed. Obina frowned. At first, he dismissed it, but pride began to stir. Slowly, suspicion gnawed at him, and though his heart longed to believe Amara's loyalty, the seed of doubt took root. Not long after, Amara confronted him. Obina, she said, her voice trembling, is it true you are seeing another woman? Obina's face hardened, his pride flaring. And what of you, Amara? Do you not laugh with other men when I am not there? Do you think I do not hear the whispers? Her eyes widened in shock. You do not trust me. And you do not trust me either, Obina replied coldly. That moment marked the beginning of the end. Their love, once filled with joy and laughter, became heavy with silence and quarrels. They stopped walking to the stream together. Their laughter faded, replaced by suspicion. At festivals, they stood apart, their eyes avoiding each other. The villagers, who once admired their bond, now murmured in confusion, astonished that love so strong could crumble so quickly. In her pain and loneliness, Amora turned to Chika. His words were smooth, his tone comforting. You deserve better, he told her. If Obinna cannot see your worth, then perhaps he does not deserve you. I would never doubt your love. Blinded by heartbreak, Amora allowed herself to lean on him. Chika smiled in secret, believing he had finally won. Months passed. Obinna buried himself in his farm work, but his heart was heavy. Amora, torn between regret and anger, drifted farther from him. Chika grew bolder, his envy now satisfied with false victory. One night, after drinking too much palm wine, Chika sat with a group of young men under the great Iroko tree. His tongue loosened by drink, he boasted loudly. Do you think Amora came to me by chance? No. It was I who broke them apart. I whispered lies into her ears, lies into his ears, and they destroyed themselves. Who else could have done it so cleverly? What Chika did not know was that an old widow named Momankechi was nearby, grinding pepper. She heard every word, her heart heavy with anger. At dawn, she told the villagers, and by midday, the truth had spread like Harmattan fire. When Amora heard, her world collapsed. Tears streaming down her face, she ran to Obinna's hut. She fell on her knees before him, weeping. Obinna, forgive me, she cried. It was all lies. Chika poisoned us. I should have trusted you. I should never have doubted your love. Obinna looked at her for a long time, his face lined with sorrow. His voice, when he spoke, was soft but heavy. Amora, I loved you more than life itself. But trust is like a clay pot. Once broken, it may be mended, but it can never hold water the same way again. My love for you remains, but the trust is gone. Amora wept bitterly, realizing too late what she had lost. Chika was disgraced. People spat on the ground when he passed. Mothers warned their children never to be like him. His name, once spoken with friendliness, became a curse. He lived out his days in shame and loneliness, his laughter silenced, his false smile gone. Amora, though still beautiful, found no man who wished to marry her. People admired her once, but they remembered how doubt had ruined her love. She lived quietly, her days heavy with regret, her heart aching with the memory of what could have been. Obinna eventually married another woman. He raised children and grew old with honor, yet in the quiet of the night, he sometimes thought of Amora. Though he found peace, the shadow of his first love remained with him until his last breath. And so, the story of Amora, Obinna, and Chika became a lasting warning in Yumadem. It was told by elders to the young as they sat around the fire at night. The lesson was clear: love without trust cannot survive, jealousy poisons the heart, and the worst betrayal often comes from those closest to us. Sparkle's moral of the story. Love is strong, but it cannot stand without trust. Jealousy destroys both the betrayer and the betrayed. A friend's envy can wound deeper than an enemy's spear. Thanks, please like, share, comment and follow. Let love lead.